Welcome. We are here to play Hissing Darkness, Incursion, rooted in Trophy by Josh Hitty, and this will be another foray for me into running another Trophy Gold incursion. I'm Mads, she/they pronouns. I've run a bunch of Trophy Dark, so now I'm delving into Trophy Gold. But being the willful child that I am, I do not usually do the core, the core incursions. So we're going to delve into sci-fi in this iteration, and we'll see how far we get. This Trophy Gold is more of desperate treasure hunters, desperate seekers, rather than doomed. So you know, we'll just see how far the characters last. Like we'll just go from there. All right, let me pass it over to James.
Everyone. So yeah, I'm James. My him pronouns. And I've played quite a bit of Trophy Gold in the past. And I've played this incursion, but it kind of was only 2 sessions, and it felt more like Trophy Dark. So I'm really interested to see a longer session because it felt like it should be like that. And yeah, I've played with some of you, but not others. So hello to everyone who I haven't met yet.
Okay, popcorn it over to someone else. Let's go to Mike.
Hey folks, I'm Mike. My pronouns are he, him. Yeah, I've played a lot of Trophy. I've played a lot. I've played and GM'd a lot of Trophy Dark. A lot of Trophy Dark. I've written a Dark incursion. I've actually written a Gold incursion. I've GM'd quite a lot of Gold over the years. In fact, like my Wednesday night home group is I'm running them through Hester's Mill, and gonna start we're going to start session 5 next week. So yeah, and they're having a lot of fun with that. I have never actually played Trophy Gold before, so this will be fun. Looking forward to it. Well, I've only been on the other side of the GM screen. Not that Trophy needs a GM screen.
Nope. So
And
exciting.
I've certainly played with Maz before. I've played with Jazy before. I don't think I've played with Dom or James before, but and I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. All right, let's popcorn it over to Jazzy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jazy. She, her pronouns. They, them is also fine in a like more generic way. I have played a lot of Dark. I've GM'd Trophy Dark, I think last month for the first time, and it went very well, so I was very happy about that. I've played Gold only 2 times, like not as often. And I'm definitely interested in like seeing a longer session because it's also usually been like 2 shots and stuff. And I like the differences, even if my brain doesn't always like fully comprehend the differences. So I'm excited to see this over a longer course and sort of like for it to really like click. Is sort of what I'm very excited to see if this longer format is going to really help with that little mental click, so to speak. I think I've played with everyone. In fact, Mike is the one who introduced me to Trophy Dark with his own incursion. And then I was like, this is such a cool game. I need to play so much more of it. And now I'm here. So I'm very excited.
Okay, awesome. And last but not least, Dom.
Hello everyone, my name is Drom, he, him pronouns. I've played one game of Trophy Dark before, also GM'd by Ahmad itself, and I played Trophy Gold, so I'm like, really interested to see like, what exactly is the difference between Gold and Dark. Like I know kind of like the basic rundown on what's the difference, but I'm curious like to see like how it actually differs in play. And I've played with I played with Jazy, I've played with Ahmad. I think perhaps I played with Mike once. I'm not too sure. Perhaps I can't remember. And James, this is the first time we play together. I know officially.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. So with that, we're going to go through a round of cats, concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. This will be more generalized because I didn't have a chance to do the specific one for Hissing Darkness. So this will be a cats on Trophy Gold as the system. And then I'll go over safety tools that are available to everyone for the table. And then we'll just delve into character creation, just to go over the characters, if anybody has any questions. And then, Mike, you have a chance to make your character because you didn't have as much chance to do it as the others did. It's fine. So, with cats, concept. Trophy Gold itself is a game about desperate treasure hunters entering a forest or other haunted space that doesn't want them there. The aim is for the players is to play treasure hunters motivated by a near impossible goal to seek out riches in the forgotten places of the world. You are not heroes, but entitled pillagers there to secure your wants and needs. Your desperate state encourages you to take dangerous risks, and you will often put yourself in harm's way to try and better your circumstances. The tone of Trophy Gold is risky and driven. You may encounter conflict or tension between your treasure hunters, but more often you will be facing dangers from monsters or the environment itself. Subject matter. This game will be R-rated. Your treasure hunters are willing to make dangerous choices. The game will most likely be violent, terrifying, and include scenes of bodily horror and loss of self-control. Call out any particular subject matter or warnings featured in the incursion you are playing. I mean, it's essentially very much like space horror. So isolation of space, we're definitely dealing with darkness, hence the name, and all the inherent violence and terror that are within. So gameplay. This game is highly collaborative and improvisational. Players have a lot of say over the world itself and can introduce story elements that no one, not even the GM, was expecting, and play moves between the fiction and the metagame frequently. This game runs best when everyone feels comfortable sharing their ideas. Use a 6-sided dice of 2 colors, light and dark, to determine the outcome of risky actions. We do have a dedicated trophy roller so everyone can see the rolls, good or bad as they may be. And yes, there is more of a take of dungeon delving, but not as much as a traditional game when you go through trophy gold incursions. So safety tools because of the subject matter. You have the option to use open door, of course, anytime that you have to step away from the table to do human things or IRL, whatever reasons, you don't have to say why. You just say open door, and then you just let us know if it's for the scene for a few minutes, or if you need a break, or if this is not the game for you at any point during the game, and you have to step away from the game completely. Just let us know. You will never have to tell us why. Okay? There's also script change. Script change is by Bo Yeager Sheldon, and it involves several different words within it. Again, to allow the players to kind of go slow, say if there's anything that needs to be stopped, taken out, what have you. So pause is to taking a break from an intense scene or to discuss or clarify what's happening in the story. Rewind is taking the story back to a point before a piece of content entered the scene. We'll clarify what that is and then narrate a different course to avoid the thing that caused the rewind, okay? Fast forward. If we don't choose to role play that, or you just don't want to dwell on that particular part of the story, just say fast forward, just to move time forward. And then frame by frame is something that's possible as well. If there's something that we sense could be a slight issue, like we just want to move forward with care. So just say frame by frame, and then we'll know to kind of take it slow, easing up to whatever could be a possible issue. Okay. So pause, rewind, fast forward, and frame by frame are all tools within script change. And then finally, we have lines and veils. There is a safety tab in our character keeper that we are using, and lines are things that will not be crossed and will not be part of the game whatsoever. Veils are things that may come up, may be present, maybe even mentioned as part of a flashback or some kind of memory, but won't be described in any particular detail. Okay, so let's see. Lines we have. Hopefully, everybody has had a chance to look through this, but like in the time period. Homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexual assault, sexual violence, vomit and vomiting, including food poisoning, are all lines. We will not include it in our game whatsoever. Our veils include bullying, but yeah, not interested in anything featuring this. Childhood abandonment, drug abuse, harm to children, harm to pet domestic animals, sexual content, slavery, slurs, and torture will be veiled. Okay. There is an ask first column, and I see that suicide, self-harm. So definitely, if there's any idea of approaching these two topics, whether in a flashback or like, in mentioning this, leading up to any character actions, like, please, feel free, use frame by frame, and then like we'll like, ease into it, or like, just just go ahead and directly ask. That is not a problem. And we have an interest column, because there's always an interest column in our trophy games. So people are interested in seeing body horror, parasites, religion cults, rioting, romance, sex work, stalking, starvation, okay, cosmic horror, asphyxiation, and isolation. Okay, great. Okay, so this is a living document. If at any time this thing has changed, where you have to, oh my gosh, there's a scene and something has come up triggering that didn't necessarily come up as triggering before in our lines and veils, like, please feel free, pause. We'll take a break. We'll figure out what needs to be, changed or whatever, or like, call my attention to it. And then we will take it out or change it, as per the script change rules. And the other thing is, because it's a living document, again, it's like, just please do not downgrade anything from a line into a veil, or a veil into an ask first. Like, don't downgrade. It's like, please feel free and upgrade if needed, but do not downgrade. Okay? So I think I've covered everything with safety. Okay? And then, yes, our players have had the opportunity of looking at the character keeper ahead of time. Some have. And then maybe others still need to finish making their characters, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause. If anybody has any questions for character creation, and then when we come back, then we're going to go ahead and introduce the characters before delving right into the incursion. Okay? So, quick pause. Okay, so we have our characters ready to go. And then once we do, then I will explain, like, the setup for going through this particular ship. Okay? So let's go from left to right on the character keeper. Let's start with Dom. Dom, please introduce us to Quixote, please.
Quixote go by Dem. How to properly introduce him? So the other pretty short guy. I'm person. I'm thinking like 4'9". So pretty short. They came into the ship, I would say, pretty much by accident. They pretty much just picked up the street to fill in a position that the crew struggled to find. Quixote is woefully inexperienced for the position, no clue at all what they're doing, just there. And I'm thinking like as the ship gets lost in the void, in the darkness, and everything broke down, Quixote has this obsessive need like to just feed like their own hero complex, and is going to probably get into a lot of mischief in trying to fulfill that. And that's more or less what we've got so far as the character. The rest will probably we develop as we go along.
And then we'll find out, like, more about their drives and skills and such in play. Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead to Jazy. Please introduce us to Somni.
So Somni, I'm gonna change it to she, they pronouns. They are the engineer of the ship. I think they pretty much quite literally came with the ship, because they used to be a stowaway. And for reasons that we'll explore during the game, I think either this ship or another ship had like some horrific um, accident or like incident happened to it, and she was the sole survivor. Because my drive is to find your sibling among the survivors who wandered off into the dark. And I think survivors here is basically like something happened, and then these people wandered off, and Somni was the only one left. Um, she has like an exoskeleton. So she has like basically 4 mechanical arms, and then her own arms heavily scarred. She always has like a constant like med patch on that's always like pumping her full of medicine to survive whatever the hell happened to her. So she's very technically skilled, but she is not necessarily a fighter. She's very scared, like, noises make her jump. She likes being in sort of the bowels of the engine because the humming makes her calms her down, and it's like a very familiar sound. Um, my rituals are parasitize and repair. I have a med patch for armor, as I said, and an exoskeleton, and I have a plasma sniper. And I think for now, that's probably all you have to know. A very like skittish, jumpy person, because I'm trying to go for the anti-Jazy character, even though I did immediately pick the sibling drive, but we can't go too crazy.
Can't wait to see it. All right, awesome. All right, Mike, please introduce us to Paul. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, James. Sorry, James is next with Drom.
So Drom is they, he, and is like Somni, very heavily modified, has built it like quite a lot of bionics, and is this kind of tall, thick, thin, looming figure in a jumpsuit with most of the skin covered, and speaks in this strange kind of hissing, like vaguely synthetic voice, and describes themselves as quote unquote a researcher. But we might suspect that in fact Drom is exactly where Drom wants to be, on this ship. And Drom is a conduit and a deep psion. And Drom's drive is to tap and connect into the universal consciousness beyond the darkness. And basically has a cultist skill set, so rituals, darkness, symbols, and alteration. Um, and the rituals are commune, which is speak with that which is the dark, and aphelion, which is create a void in hyperlocalized space-time that fills with perfect darkness, and has like a bunch of things that are a combination of bionics and sort of easily hideable, creepy cultist items like a grimoire and an altar to the dark. But he's protected by like biomechanics and but warding tattoos hidden under clothes and talisman, and has a carefully hidden monomolecular ritual blade.
Amazing. All right, and finally, Mike, please introduce us to Paul.
At first glance, Paul looks really normal. He appears to be just a human man. Probably, he's not terribly short, not terribly tall. He's like, 5'6", 5'7". Looks to be, maybe 35, 40, something like that. He says he is a scientist. Specifically, he is he knows astrophysics and cosmology. He is a scientist. Um, talking with Paul, he seems just a little unnerving. He doesn't seem to blink as often as a person should. he holds your gaze a little too long. And, when sounds and whatnot, like, if startling sounds happen in the background, he tends not to flinch. Because he is secretly an android. Hence the graphic of Bishop from Alien.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Sorry.
and he is a cosmologist. He is a scientist, but in his science, he has tapped into things. He has like made some level of contact with things from beyond that perhaps live in the void between the stars. His skills are rituals, machine gods, ontology, and because he's an android, he is somewhat unnerving. He knows one ritual, dark matter, which is unleash destructive particles. I'm almost seeing that that's less magic and more that he's got access to some kind of like weird high-tech device that can do that. His backpack equipment, I literally rolled on the table, and so I've got a Datasphere AR lens, boot spikes, and a handheld echolocator. As for defensive gear, he's got 2 pieces of armor. He's wearing a light weave carbon fiber vest, and he also is wearing a belt that he can use to activate an electrostatic defense grid. I just made that one up. That wasn't on the list. I just made that one up because hey, why not?
Hey, why not? Mechanically, and I don't see it right away.
Oh, and
so
as for weapons, he's got a vibro blade and an automatic pistol.
okay, all right. So everybody's got the right amount of ruin because it's essentially you start off with 1 point of ruin and then point of ruin for every ritual that you take. So that's fine. I had a question about the burdens. Burdens are for the pieces of armor and the weaponry, correct? Okay, so let's see. I think.
And it's 1 plus your amount of combat equipment.
Okay, so
I'm
1
actually,
plus.
Yep.
Yeah, so you should be 5.
Yep. So I should be 5.
Yeah.
I forgot about the 1 plus. Everyone starts with 1 burden.
Okay.
And that's assuming this is working just like normal trophy gold.
Yeah, it works, it should work exactly like normal trophy gold. James, does that mean you have 5 for your burdens? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, so then, all right, everybody's correct now. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't, counting that incorrectly. All right, great. Oh, these are going to be great characters. So, this incursion is assumed to be in a pretty dystopian world in the far distant future. I'm going to read the blurb from the beginning of the game. There is nothing here. The ship was launched at near light speed into the cold darkness of space in the hopes of finding a new home. But now you are beyond the light of even the furthest stars. The ship is a near light speed supercraft arc ship and powered by the massive and dangerous engine. Using barely understood mechanisms and unstable physics that teeter on the edge of reality, the engine is able to convert strange particle energies into power. The ship is large, impossibly large. Its corridors yawn and gape. The cold metal walls stand oppressive and crushing. You are so very small. There is nothing here, only darkness. You are a newly awakened survivor, jolted violently out of dreamless cold sleep. Your last memories were of entering cold sleep accompanied by encouragements that you would wake up in orbit around a habitable and beautiful world. That hasn't happened. There are other survivors here, in this small community that has sprung up around the cold sleep pods. It is dark here. The lights are low and sterile, but it is mostly safe. The dark whisperings of the hull held at bay for now. But the fabricators are breaking down. The power is dying. The light is starting to fade. The small haven is dying. You are running out of time. Seek the engine or be lost forever in the perfect darkness. Metal creaks and moans as you traverse the darkened depths of the craft. The corridors and hallways are warped and twisted, haunted. The ship once had a name and you knew it, but now, trying to name it makes your mouth dry and icy. Static scratch across your brain. Better not to think about it. There is nothing here, only darkness. The longer you survive the labyrinth of the ship, the more changed you become, warped by the very darkness that permeates this metallic environment. Something out in that cold, dark void twisted and changed the ship. Perhaps the engine itself is responsible for this corruption, the strange energies it harnessed, twisting and reshaping everything around it anew. There's nothing here, only darkness. And it is waiting. So, the ship is engulfed by and filled with this darkness, cold, absolute, perfect darkness. Playing in absolute darkness is difficult, so it may be helpful to visualize the darkness as water, almost. When you enter into it, that's when you face its threats. So the darkness is omnipresent, but you don't have to be cognizant of it at all times. I'll just bring it up to the forefront when the darkness as a threat is actually present, okay? Always remember, you are aboard the ship. The ship is impossibly massive, nearly warped beyond recognition, and it's a haunted location, but it's still a construct. You're going to ground the descriptions in the metallic reality to remind you like where you are, okay? So take that into account, like if I ask you for like any kind of like paint the scenes or anything like that, okay? The ship is made up of several different areas. You will start off in the cold sleep warrens, and then you will go into, or you could go into the maze, the underhull, the dark void, leading into the engine and the vastness, okay? So again, you will start off in the cold sleep warrens, and each of these areas are called a set. And I will give you the set goals for each place that you will visit or that you will be in. And then you will try to accomplish the set goals while also keeping your drives and the fact that any items that you collect, any items that you scavenge here can be sold eventually back in the little settlements that are created on the ship for gold. And the basic reason why trophy gold is called gold is because it's like you're trying to meet your burdens, all those things that you got that you have that you need to pay back, otherwise that you will have to retire the character in debt essentially, or be lost to the environment, as it were, because ruin is very much something that can happen here. All right. So let's see. Let's go into the first set. You will start off in the cold sleep warrens. Your set goal: find a way out of cold sleep. Cold sleep is where most on board the ship first awaken. It's a sprawling complex of hanging stacks of frosted over sleep pods, half-functioning consoles, and terminals. Survivors are thawed in no discernible pattern. You're heaved out of the cold and barely conscious. There is a small ad hoc community of survivors here. They've formed in the heart of cold sleep. It's relatively safe and stable within this haven, but it's quickly turning grim. Time and resources are running out. You cannot linger here. All right? So, tell me, as you've awakened here in cold sleep, the feeling that is brought back to your person, your form, and the memory that you have in your mind as you come out cold and barely conscious. What are you thinking as you feel yourself coming back into this dark and cold space? What do you remember? What are you thinking?
Question out of character.
Mhm.
Are we just waking up, or have we been woken up and we've been a member of this community for some period of time?
I leave that up to you. We can ask that question, like my question, as you just waking up and then trying to find a way out of here, realizing that the resources are running out, or that this is a camp, the settlement that you've been with for a little bit, and now you're realizing, oh, we got to get the hell out of here. We got to find a way to get more resources or do what we came here to do, and then calling upon your drive. So, what do you think? I'm good with either, so.
I personally would be more inclined to say, we've been awake for we've been awake, and so we know each other and we know
Okay.
the situation already. Maybe we haven't been here very long. Maybe this community has been here for again, it's hard to tell. Hard to tell how time passes in a place like this because there's no day-night cycle. The lights are
Nope.
just on.
Yep.
But I like to think, maybe we've been some of the more recent people who've woken up, but we've been here maybe a week or two, and now we've realized that we need to. Some people don't want to move on. The people that are stuck here don't want to move, but we need to find more resources. That's my suggestion, and I'm open to others.
That works for me. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. And you can't go it alone, so why not be with the people that you somewhat know?
Yeah, I think if you still kind of like want those memory vignettes, then I
I
think
do.
we will open up on Somni. And she's like crouched down behind one of the pods. Her mechanical arms are like, there's like a wrench in, like not even in one. It's just like boop, like formed itself into a wrench, right? And then another one is scanning something, and her own hands. We see like these heavy scars coiling down, almost like a tentacle or like a whip wrapped around it and burned the skin off. And she's like has something clicked open, and she is like in it trying to see what the wires are doing, what the grid is doing. She is like flinching every little bit whenever somebody speaks on like a certain, we hear like a whir of voices, and then whenever a voice goes like a slightly bit louder, we see her kind of, her hands stay completely still, but her head and everything else will kind of like jerk or tense, like she's doing her work, but also ready to like run at any second. Um, and as she's working on this pod, I think she's probably trying to like, if there's no one in it, to like deactivate it and reroute some of the power so we can have like more power here and like shut down non-essential systems. But I think we see these fragmented, we see a wrench drenched in blood. We see, we hear screams from, hard to tell from which side, from everywhere, echoing down the dark hallways. We hear Somni scream a name and then whisper it. Just, Nox, Nox, where are you? And then more darkness. We see something slither within it. We see Somni running, just like combat boots on the ground. We hear a thud of something falling. And then a woman who looks a lot like Somni, a little bit older, just smile, turn around, and disappear into the dark.
Strips of emergency light are flickering along the floor. They're barely holding the shadows at bay. As we follow the flicker, what do we see Drom doing?
Ring Drum is sort of curled almost like a snake around one of the pillars, the support struts, looking at this strange mark like a symbol that's been burned in and saying, Captain Waiter, what does this one mean? And looking at a grimoire that is in his hands and saying, I guess most intriguing. And I think with basically the savage kind of glee and joy of that is the first thing that Drom felt coming out of the pod, that he is where he is always meant to be, in the dark, with so many things to discover.
There's a sharp chemical smell of cold sleep, suspension fluid leaking from a damaged pod. Pole, I think you are near it. What are you thinking? What are you remembering here?
Paul glances over at the leaking fluid with sort of like an impact with a like his face looks almost impassive. In fact, when the camera like sees him, his back's to the camera. He's standing at a he's standing at like a at a at a data console that he's managed to coax like some amount of display to him. So like his face is illuminated by this, by the green glow of this like monochrome monitor. And he's typing at a mostly functioning keyboard. Um, and he looks in that direction with just a certain amount of curiosity. But then turns back as he is attempting to access the ship's sensor arrays to see what's going on outside the ship, and is getting nothing. He thinks he's gotten the sense. He thinks he has the sensors online, but they are reading nothing, and he doesn't know whether that means the sensors are malfunctioning or if the ship has ended up somewhere else. And he's thinking perhaps the latter, as as he tries to remember back to why he is here and his purpose. He has a few shattered memories of being back at the Institute and being informed that he would be going on this ship as their as an astrophysicist, as the ship's cosmologist. But those are jumbled up with memories he had, presumably while he was in the sleep pod, of something reaching out to him from perhaps the ship itself. He just has vague sense memories of something else entering his mind and telling him that perhaps it was the consciousness of the ship itself telling him that in this realm the ship is all that there is, and that it is the only power that he's going to find here, and that it wants its and that it um you know and he's somewhat intrigued by this, to try to figure out where this consciousness that touched him came from.
I think as you're staring at the console and then possibly along the cold sleep pods, that you see rows upon rows. Some are still occupied, but could conceivably be cracked open for hiding places for those desperate enough. You can divert power from them for other uses, but unless the occupants are thawed, a very slow process, they will not survive without power. Among the cold sleep pods, Quixote, what are you seeing? What are you doing? What are you remembering?
So I think we'll see Quixote just moving like some boxes of various materials around the settlement. Basically keeping themselves busy. Or I should phrase it, it's the actual settlers in that place keeping Quixote busy. As I think people have quickly realized that Quixote has a bit of a strange streak, and upon waking up, which was a bit of a violent way, since most people who woke up in the pods would say uh, just tinker with the pods to wake up. Those who couldn't get their own pods open had others help them. Quixote, upon seeing that they couldn't get the pod opened, just kicked the lid clean off. And since then, they've given Quixote a bit of a wide berth due to that show of strength, but also it became quickly apparent to those that interacted with Quixote that those that had light introductions quickly came to the conclusion that Quixote is delusional, and those that were unfortunate enough to have more deeper sessions came to the realization that Quixote is utterly deranged and completely unhinged, and that the only way they could stop them from just charging into the darkness was to just keep them busy as Quixote thinks back to that all goals and how and to all the various heroes they read about in the fictional stories, and how they want to be just like them, to imitate them. So upon seeing the situation, they immediately wanted to go into darkness to fix things. So people just getting the power to help Quixote stay busy, to not rush out and potentially get themselves killed. And as for the reason for the ship, Quixote remembers a dark night. They were wandering the back alleys of some very some random city. It was dark, probably raining, and they came upon two people that were crewmates of this ship. They were wearing, I think maybe because one of the medical staff that was supposed to be on the ship recently died in an accident, and they didn't have enough time to get another qualified medical personnel yet. They stuck Quixote in the valley and just they said basically, okay, you'll do. And they took Quixote onto the ship. So Quixote also has these badges, this clearance of a medical personnel, but it's also really apparent that Quixote doesn't have the slightest clue about any medical knowledge or how to even help people.
Interesting. Oh my goodness. All right. So, again, reminder for the set goal. You are in the Cold Sleep Warrens and you need to find a way out of cold sleep to get further into the ship. Okay. So, the way you can get more information to explore your environment is by doing a hunt roll. That is available on the trophy dice roller under hunt. And then you would build your dice pool. So if anybody's interested in doing that, hunt rolls are your way of getting gold or finding items to be able to eventually turn them into gold. So that is one way to help meet your burdens as you're going through the sets. And then if you end up doing something risky, like that could cause harm to your body or your mind, or you end up using one of your rituals, you will be doing what's called a risk roll. Okay? So those are the two that are available to you at the moment. We'll go through the other rolls as they come up. But yeah, I mean, if you want to try to search for things in this environment, a hunt roll. Yep.
Administrative question. Do we have a link for do we have a link for the dice roller? There's.
Oh, yes. It probably got hidden in the chat. Give me a second. I'll try to pop it in. Too many tabs open. Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna pop it into the links and resources on the Character Keeper.
Thank you. I also pinned it in the chat as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. Got it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think if you feel like it's appropriate, I think maybe Somni, trying to see what that pod is doing, trying to reroute to power could be a hunt roll, because she's kind of investigating why are these pods suddenly, why have some taught and why not others? What is happening here?
Sure.
Is it malfunctioning? Can I reroute this? She's working on that.
Okay. So we would build the dice pool, which is light die. So you take a light die for exploring the world and asking questions about it, which you are doing. Um, and then you are taking a light die if you have another light die if you have a skill or a piece of equipment that would make your hunt easier.
Mm-hmm. I would argue tag.
Okay.
Like I'm
You're already
seeing
messing
what
around with the system.
yeah, I'm messing around with the system. I'm seeing why it's malfunctioning, why the tech is doing what it's doing.
Sure. Okay. So you would go into the dice roller, and in under hunt, you would plop in 2 light die, please, and roll.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh, it's something terrible already. Fabulous. Okay. Okay. So before I get to your something terrible, anybody else want to do anything so we can see how terrible this could be?
I think Drom's on a like ritual symbol Easter egg hunt now because he's been finding them all over the cold sleep area, and thinks that they're like a trail that's been left specifically for them.
This isn't again out of character, just like from a from one trophy GM to another. This is not official, but I've talked with Jesse about this, the trophy designer. His rule of thumb when you're doing a hunt roll is when you find something terrible, the lower the result, the more terrible it is.
Oh, sure.
So if you get a 5, something terrible is like, oh, well, maybe there's something, well, maybe you find sign of something. If you get a 1 on your hunt roll, that generally means you're about to be attacked by a monster.
Yeah, but I mean, like, considering it's a 2, it's like, we'll see how terrible it is.
It's
But
not gonna be great.
It's not gonna be great.
It's gonna be fantastic.
So, like, for me, like a 2 means it's something that is immediately dangerous. But what Paul was going to try to set up a hunt roll for himself by like trying to like glean information from the computer terminal he was on. But I want to see what Somni found.
Okay. Alrighty. Sorry. I'm just writing down names and stuff like that. Okay. So basically it's like, go ahead and just like, do the something terrible, or like, Quixote, like, would you like to line up a hunt roll?
I'm with Mike. I want to see what Sony finds, but also I don't think Quixote will be looking for anything. Like they've been tasked with just getting stuff, so they'll just focus on that.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think, as you're playing around with the cold sleep pods, there's torso thick. Like maybe like, you guys have been around so long that you don't really notice them anymore, but they're like torso thick, heavy power conduits like coiling on the floor. They can be moved around and plugged into outlets like, to supply power to machines and such. But I think at this moment, as you're messing around, maybe you turn away for half a second, and then one of these power conduits starts to move and uncoil and then loom behind you, animated by the ship. So, I would say, yeah, I think you see the shadow, like even in these dim flickering lights, I think you see the shadow of something like looming behind you, and it is one of these conduits.
I think Somni immediately will scream seeing that, and like on those 4 skeletal like exoskeleton arms, she'll just try to run away and hide behind probably Quixote, because they're like so deranged and stabby, and she probably picked up on that, and she's like, yeah, they'll protect me. That's fine.
So
she's just hightailing it out of there.
Oh, sure. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna say that, like, maybe you 3 are close enough to be able to see this, and especially that Somni has ducked behind Quixote. What do you want to do?
seeing as Somni just like ducked behind Quixote, which probably isn't the best cover seeing how short Quixote is. Quixote, I think, like look at this construct and more than likely just charge at it. Now, I just want to about stable question. I know that in Trophy Dark, if you try to fight against something, you just died. Is that the same rule in Gold? No.
No, we build a combat roll in that case if you're going to go up against
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Gold has a combat system.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, Quixote, upon seeing this, I will just be like, Hark. Actually, stop there, thou malevolent villain. And Quixote will probably just imagine Quixote like Quixote's like right arm is a cybernetic, maybe like the whole arm, but maybe like from the like shoulder down it's a cybernetic arm, and like from that arm, Quixote just like manifests this laser Jadira, and it's going to now just like charge at this construct conduit.
Okay. So, when you attempt to defeat a monster, excuse me, you join your efforts with your fellow hunters. Maybe. We'll see. Decide who participates. That's the first thing we need to figure out. So, Paul, Drom, any takers?
Yeah, I'm gonna think. I think I'm there. I'm there too, and I see this conduit like rear up and looks like it's going to attack. It looks like it's going to attack Somni. I think Paul's going to draw his vibro knife. He's going to draw a knife, click the power button on it, and the blade starts like visibly vibrating. Starts visibly vibrating and makes this like just this disconcerting hum noise.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at he looks at this thing, and his face is still pretty impassive. As he moves toward it to attempt to in an attempt to defend his friends. So I will join the combat roll.
Okay. Drom, are you joining the combat?
Drom will also join the combat, but Drom is going to start stroking the ship's, like the metal surfaces, and say, "Not yet, sleep again," and use commune to try and weaken the enemy so that its endurance goes down by using commune into the combat.
Oh my. Okay. Oh boy.
Somni will not participate.
No,
She
that's not
jumped
good.
specifically,
Yeah.
so she doesn't have to fight. They're like,
my
nah, this is creepy.
Okay. I know that goes against everything that your fiber of being Jazy, but I mean, like,
physically
again,
hurting me, but I can do this.
okay. I know. Okay. So let's see. For each of you saying how you're going to expose yourself to injury or attack, and then you're going to roll a light die. You're going to roll the combat die.
We need to roll the weak point. We need
Oh,
to roll our
weak
weak
point.
point first.
Sorry. Weak point. So under weak, you're going to roll that, and then we'll see what your weak point comes up as. Sorry.
And Drom's not actually in the combat. I have to do a risk roll of my own to try and lower the endurance, so I can't actually participate yet.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll go ahead and we'll call your risk roll after we see the weak point for excuse me, Quixote and Paul.
And just out of curiosity, can like multiple hunters do something to lower the endurance, or is that like a one-time thing?
Give me a second.
I actually forgot that's a
That's a very good question.
Yeah, using rituals in combat or doing other or like making risk rolls to attempt to lower the endurance of a monster. That is I won't say it's not relatively new, but it was added after I'd started playing, and I actually don't. I'd actually have to look those rules up.
Yeah, I'm trying to look that up right
I'll
now.
see like what the endurance is and if it's necessary,
Yeah.
but it might be interesting maybe for later on if like the endurance is really high.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let me see. Okay. Yeah, let me deal with that like, one at a time because I'm like I just want to like go through the combat roll first. All right. So,
I was going
weak
to say,
point is
well,
1. That
if
makes it easy.
yep,
Okay.
I would actually recommend why don't we why don't we determine that because determine the rituals or the other things first because that would be lowering the endurance that the combat roll would be
Okay,
going
great.
against.
All right.
Because I know that's how it works, but I forget specifically. I know that's how it works in general, but I forget
Yeah.
exactly how it does. I'm
Okay.
opening my
I think you're
I'm
right,
opening
Mike.
my
I think it's before the combat even begins. Like I have to do the roll, and then that sort of dictates what the endurance is of the monster.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do that then. Thank you very much. I mean, like for pitching in, guys, because it's like, it doesn't hurt to make sure we get this correct. And I'm trying to find the whole thing about lowering endurance. Um Monster endurance.
Here it is.
It's
Rituals in combat.
page
It's
page 18.
page 18 in the book.
Thank you. Okay. Before the combat roll. Okay, declare whether you're using magic to attempt to weaken the monster or directly attack it. You're trying to weaken it, basically, Drom. Essentially, like not yet. Can't participate in the combat roll. That's correct. Make a risk roll as usual. So, do. Okay. So, in addition to normal impact, your highest die is a blah blah that says whether you're reducing the endurance. Okay. So, do your risk roll. Do you have any skills? Of course. Let's see. Your conduit.
Probably rituals and darkness and
Perfect.
symbols would probably be relevant, I'd say.
Absolutely. Okay, so light die, something you're skilled at for sure. Dark die, you are using a ritual and risking your mind. And then, of course, our wonderful Devil's Bargain. That definitely comes into play here. So, what do we think will happen? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I should have asked, like, what do we think could go wrong first? Way before that. I think there's something that you can contract by communing with the darkness. So I would say that you're going to be opening up yourself to that, which could be good, could be bad. Or the darkness will decide to mark you in some way. Anybody else have anything that could go wrong? This is the could go wrong, not Devil's Bargain yet. Sorry.
Yeah, so something that could go wrong here, and this could conceivably also segue into a Devil's Bargain. Something that could go wrong, it would be you're communing with, you're communing with like the ship draws its attention on you, meaning that like this conduit and others are now like drawn to you and like will do whatever they wanted to do to Somni, they're going to now do to you instead.
Yeah, I think I'll sort of go for the obvious one as well. I think by opening up that line of communication, rather than lulling it into sleep, you like gave it extra juice. You're pumping extra power into it.
I guess in that sense, the crossover with the other obvious one is that instead of weakening the conduit, you end up weakening yourself.
Okay. Wow. I mean, they all sound like Devil's Bargains to me, but that's fine. I mean, okay. So definitely light die for sure. Definitely ritual use. So the Devil's Bargain now to get that second light die to increase odds of success. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything aside from like one of those things going wrong happening no matter what. To be honest with you, the weakening, could definitely be something that happens to you rather than Somni. Like that was the intent. Is that like the ship was going to, the darkness of the ship was going to draw upon the nice living being that's in front of it. So
I think no matter what, something speaks back to you that you hadn't expected. There is something in the darkness that even you do not comprehend, and it speaks to you now.
any other devil's bargains?
Quite like the idea of accepting the one that something talks back to me, and but any other offers gratefully received.
I quite like Jazy's Devil's Bargain, so I think we're just gonna remain silent.
Yeah, I had the germ of one, but Jazy's is way better.
Jazy's is way better. So
Yeah,
if you want that.
I accept that one. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so risk roll 2 light, 1 dark, please.
It's a 3, and I can't make it any higher because it's
no.
my at least my
Match.
ruin doesn't
Right.
go up.
Dark die is
yeah,
always
so-
considered high.
Yeah, I'm stuck and I can't do anything unless someone tries to help
Reroll.
me.
Okay.
What happens if we help?
Ooh, you could do a help. There is a help roll. What you can do, the way the help roll works, and you can do this before or after, whenever you can help another character on a risk roll, if as long as their risk roll is including a dark die.
Yes.
So the way it works is you explain how you're and you can help either before or after the dice roll. And the way that works is you declare how you're helping and how you are also exposing yourself to the same danger, and then you roll 1 light die. And then the person who rolled the risk roll can use your light die in their results. So basically, if you rolled 4, 5, or 6, that would turn, that would turn the risk roll into, a partial success or a success. However, if
And also get a 3.
if your help roll matches any of the dark dice that came up, your ruin goes up by 1.
And even if you reroll, like that would then be the reroll
Well,
for the dark die, or you can
You
only go up once, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. So we can't do the reroll. We can't do a reroll because dark came
dark
up
die.
high on the risk roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your light die would
case-
basically tell us what the
just
new
don't
result
roll
would
a
be.
3, basically. Just
So
don't roll a 3.
if someone can get a 4+, then we're laughing basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and roll.
Sure. Yeah. I think
And
we
you-
kind of see Somni has like skittered behind Quixote and is kind of like open another panel, and like the exoskeleton arms are like typing, and there's like a laser going, all of that. And I think sort of what Drom is doing in a supernatural way, Somni is just like telling the tech, like I think she's just like trying to cut off the power to that pot, so like the conduit can't move.
Yeah. I love
to
it.
help it.
Yeah. So help and then roll.
Now, watch me roll a 3. Oh,
Nice. 5. So
Nice.
much better.
Yeah.
For help. Okay. So you take that as a success with a complication. Yeah. So, your complication is that. Let me see. So you're telling it not yet. Speaking to the dark. Maybe there's a hesitation, which is why the endurance is lowered. So Quixote has an opening that they can use for really smacking this thing down. But I'm going to say before we get into that Drom You hear a thrumming, I think. It is not the usual way that the darkness would speak to you. Tell me what you hear that gives you pause, wondering if this is something new.
I think Drom is used to chasing whispers and like things in the darkness, but this is almost like a kind of roaring sound, like, and it's almost deafening, and it feels like it's just surrounding Drom, and they can't think about anything else and just fall to their knees, kind of poleaxed, like twitching, like feedback.
Yep. I think you're going to find out later that the roar is saying something very specific to you, but you can't tell what that is right now. And you don't know why it's reacting this way. For Somni, it's like, you succeeded in helping, but I think you're also getting like a bit of this as well. Like maybe like as you're messing with the panel, maybe you hear the roar as well, but it comes out as like a burst of static, so you don't quite understand it. And the piece, the conduit that's rising up, uncoiling, I think it hesitates. So you now have an opening, Quixote. So let's finish up the combat. God, let's finish up the combat before we take our first break. Oh my gosh. So for the endurance part, pardon me for looking through things. Okay. So we're taking the new die. Reduce the monster's endurance by 1. Okay, great. Okay. Now, rebuilding. Okay. So the number that you rolled initially for Pole and Quixote, you both rolled a 1 for your weak point. You're going to start building, like Quixote, you're going to build up 1 dark die for each character involved. So you're going to load up your combat roll for 2 dark die to start. Okay. All right. And roll 2 dark die for combat.
Yep. Go for it.
Okay. Monster is defeated if the endurance is 7 or less. Yes. And did any of the dark die? Yep. If any of the dark die match a treasure hunter's weak point, mark 1 ruin per die that matches the treasure hunter's weak point.
So
or mark a piece of armor to avoid the ruin.
So it happens to both.
Yeah,
Huh?
each of us. Yeah, so yeah, we were yeah. So this summarized the whole round of combat.
Yep.
Basically, and we defeated it. So this summarized the whole. So this one roll summarized the whole combat. So we defeated it, but we were also banged. We were also like somehow banged up in the combat because you and I each took a ruin.
Yep.
Now, when I GM, I usually toss it to the players to say, okay, tell us what that scene looks like. But
yeah, you both pulled out. Pole pulled out the vibro knife, and then Quixote, you smacked it in, or you grabbed it with your cybernetic arm. Tell me how the darkness has called out to you in some way, has affected you in some way, to explain the rise in ruin.
I think for Quixote, they basically just dashed into the Conduit. But we can say maybe just like charged it to the ground, grab it, held it down with one arm, and then in the like cybernetic arm, they just like unleashed this like laser projectile that is like much higher than laser projectiles are supposed to. Like you can tell that this has been like illegally modified to extend very close like to lance length and should be allowed. And it just kind of like stabs drives it into the conduit. As the darkness, I think perhaps as Quixote is doing this, the darkness just comes as like a little doubt in their mind of will they be able to actually save anyone? Will they be able to like live up to their dreams of being a hero, or is this just a fool's errand and they will perish before they can accomplish the goals?
And Paul?
So as this like, you know, this like metal and plastic conduit like was rising up, Paul moves in with his vibro knife to attempt to cut the to attempt to cut like the power cables that are within this conduit, and he does so, but he misjudged how much energy was running through that, and there's a shower of there's a shower of sparks and electricity like arcs from this thing, like you know, like up Paul's arm, and he convulses briefly, and then the conduit, and then this like giant cable thing suddenly just goes slack, and the energy stops, and you know, Paul then you know, staggers forward, like drops to one knee, and like is like on the floor for a moment, and like you actually see a little bit of like smoke rise from him as like parts of his jumpsuit are, you know, parts of his jumpsuit are scorched, and also you also see that the, you know, as he puts back his vibro knife, you notice that like the flesh of his hand was really badly burned, like to the point where it almost looks like it was melted. I will take a ruin.
Yep.
I only had 2 starting ruin. I can take a ruin now. I'll wait till later. I'll wait till later to start marking my armor.
But I will say that your condition is scorched hand. Yeah. Whether that really means anything for your actual person, we'll have to find out. But since you succeeded, hold on, you're gonna go ahead into the gold roll, Quixote, and you're going to roll. You're gonna roll six gold. Let's see if you get anything.
I got 2 gold.
Holy cow!
Nice.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So, you can choose to hoard these for yourself, and then trade them in for gold later, or you can, like, you know, one for you and one for Paul. That's up to you. What you find after taking out the power conduit is you can see that there's, within the confines of this tube, there is something that looks like a power cell that's remained intact even after you both had, you know, taken it out specifically. So the power cell is still glowing, so it still works. And I'm going to say that it's like, you know, since it's like, you know, you were initiating the combat and such, it's like, sorry, this is actually worth 2 gold. So that covers the 2 gold that you found. But you would put the power cell into your found equipment for right now, and you can put down in parentheses that it's worth 2 gold when you eventually trade it in. Okay.
Generally treasures are worth 1 unless you say otherwise. I was hoping there'd be 2 power cells and we could each grab one, but no. That's okay.
No.
That's cool.
Yeah. But it is like power cells are worth 2 gold. So, like, you know, if you find any more, then that's very valuable. Okay. And that covers it. Okay.
We just began in Quixote, so already rich.
well, I mean, not rich, but I mean, like, you're meeting your burdens faster than the others. So, at the end of this particular combat, let's go ahead and take our first 10-minute break. So I will see you guys back. You know what? Like, go to the 45 mark. Just to give a little bit more time. But so 45-minute mark, and I'll see you then. So, an impressive show of game mechanics. It's like, let's see, we went through the risk roll, the combat roll, the gold roll, the weak point, hunt roll. We did it all pretty much.
And a help roll.
And the help roll. Oh my god. Don't really see the help roll all that often, but
We did
I know,
everything.
it's
We did
rarely-
all the things.
we
The
did all
only
the
one-
things.
The only roll we haven't done. I mean, the only roll we haven't done yet is the contest roll.
Do we have a contest roll in gold? I mean, I know we have it in dark.
It's-
Oh
It's
yeah,
there.
we sure
It
do.
doesn't- It's there. It doesn't come up nearly as often
Okay.
because
All right.
in gold the characters tend to be more cooperative. But
Yes.
it can happen.
Okay. All right.
I've seen it happen in gold.
Fun. All right, great. It's like feed to the darkness. Wonderful. All right. Or ruin. I mean, like, I'm sure that's still a thing. The only thing, and then tell me if I'm wrong, people, reduction doesn't happen in gold?
There's no
Didn't think so.
reduction roll, and there is no ruin roll.
Oh, there is no ruin roll. Okay.
There's no ruin
never
roll.
mind.
There is no ruin roll in gold. Now, occasionally, like an incursion might include something like a ruin roll for a particular circumstance. I've
Mhm.
used that occasionally. Like for example, in my conversion of the OSR module, the Bruja, the Beast, and the Barrow. There's like a magical trap that if you go in and do something, you basically have to make a ruin roll.
Okay, yeah, and I think there is some provision for that in this game as well. So we'll see. Have to
And
check
I
on
have-
it, but
And I have seen a couple of third-party trophy gold incursions that make reference to a ruin roll that isn't really supposed to be there. That they're often like some early ones that where gold hadn't been out for very long. That some people got a little mixed up of what the gold rules were. But that's okay. And if it makes sense, call for one.
if it makes sense, right? Exactly. And again, it's like just remembering that there is no reduction roll here to lower your ruin in gold. Once you hit 6, you're lost, okay? But you can make a new character, and this has an interesting provision of, because of these auxiliary settlements that are possible on the ship, then a new character is not that unlikely, right? So I mean, like, somebody can burst out of the darkness and be a survivor and help you guys
And
out.
also and again, standard gold rules. When you go back to town, you meet you have to pay off your burdens. But then going back to town, you clear all your conditions. If you have established a household in the downtime rules, that automatically heals 1 ruin, and then you can spend gold. Then you can spend gold to on a 1-to-1 basis to like heal down as far as your starting ruin.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't do any downtime stuff unless you have made your burdens, because otherwise you'd have to retire, right?
Exactly.
So,
You have to. Yeah. When you go back to town, you must meet your burdens.
right. And I'm just gonna tell a story on myself because it's just the most hilarious thing. It's like I had a beautiful himbo in a can't remember which one it was, which incursion it was. However, a Temple of the Peerless Star, yeah. So my character was about ready to completely meet the burdens. It was great. And one of the other characters, unfortunately, their character had gotten killed. But when the new character came in, bringing in a whole horde of like temple guardians or some such. And for lack of pockets, my beautiful himbo went out. Mechanically, that translated to combat roll was involved, and weak point was hit numerous times. I got ruined 7. So, yeah, it was great. Anyway,
Well, that's
love
another
telling
one.
that story.
That is one thing about the just that did mention. So if you take multiple hits in combat, in a round, if you mark armor, you don't take any. You avoid all of the damage. So if, for example, in our last combat, if my but if we were rolling but if we'd gotten to if we were rolling 4 or 5 combat dice, and multiple ones had come up, and that was our weak point, you would normally, if 3 ones came up, that would normally mean you hit 3 ruin. But if you mark your armor, you don't take any in that round. So it's
Just
not
one piece of armor or all armor?
No, you mark one piece of armor in a given combat round. You avoid all ruins that you would have incurred in that
That's
round.
Right. That's right. Okay.
So that's something that some people don't quite realize that, and think you have to mark 1 per ruin. But no, you mark armor once in a combat round, and you avoid all ruin in that round.
Here's the thing. So in my story, again, very, very, we had just gotten the treasure to meet the burdens and a little bit more even, but then that happened. And so I had no armor left to mark. That was the problem. So shit. Love telling that story because I think it's absolutely hilarious that my dude went out on lack of pockets. Yeah. So, I mean, he was shirtless, so of course he did. So it was fine. Anyway.
Why would you have pockets?
Why would I have pockets, right? I mean, he wasn't drawn by Rob Liefeld, so I mean, it's all good. All right. Anyway. Yeah. So, okay. So basically, we're going to, again, your set goal is to get the hell out of this Sleep Cold Warrens. So you need to find your way out of here. Anybody else want to risk doing hunt rolls?
Now that this is over, I think, like Paul checks in. Is everyone else okay? That is not supposed to happen.
Or at least hasn't happened yet.
I am going to return to this console to see what I can glean. Excuse me. And he then turns back. He then turns back and starts tapping away at this console, trying to bring up whatever information he can about the layout of this area, how to access the door controls, that kind of stuff.
So the console that you've hit, it looks like it was repaired and activated before you got to it. And these consoles are kind of like multi-purpose. So not only can you communicate with other intra-ship terminals, but there's also tabs for creating simple items, so fabrication, maybe 3D printer, nearby or something like that for something small, something simple. So yeah, you can totally do this for a hunt roll. Go ahead and
because I'm also going to attempt to use while I'm accessing this, I'm going to attempt to use some of the strange sigils that came into my head in my sleep cycle, because I wish to invoke appeasement of the machine gods in this.
Nice. Like it. Okay, so that's 1 light die. And then you've asked about the world, for trying to do this, to look for schematics, basically.
Yep.
Go ahead and roll with 2 light die, please, on the hunt roll.
I got a 6.
Very nice. Alrighty.
I got a hunt
light,
token.
so, yep. All right, so go ahead and grab a token, put that into your stash, and then, yeah, I'm gonna say that, excuse me, this, hold on, I'm trying to get more information here.
And for those who haven't played Gold before, just to remind, so there's 2 ways to solve a set. We can solve it through role play and for poking around and for gleaning information and for asking the right questions in the right places, or we can pool a total of 3 hunt tokens and spend between one or more players, and spending a total of 3 hunt tokens will allow us to resolve the set and move on.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah, I think the console that you're at is, you see it like come up in like static and like kind of like, interrupted bursts, but you can tell that there's like corridors out of here. Like as long as you can open up the specific door out of the cold sleep warrens with communicating with that other console, you can make it, and then you can go out to the maze.
Okay.
That's all it describes
Um,
it as. It describes it as the maze.
got it. And yeah, so Paul released that information to the other three people that appear to be active in this area. If we go down this corridor, this will lead to the next section. We may have difficulty opening the door at the end, but I would pose that we go in that direction and solve that problem when we get to it.
I think Somni was like just crouched down in the corner, like her own hands over her ears while the mechanical ones were working on the panel there. She just like doesn't really move but kind of like glances up at you. Says, "Well, do we know what's out there in that direction?"
It seemed to be a maze of twisty corridors, all alike. But
There
if
could
we're
be
going to
more
find
of those things.
But if we're going to find more resources, because we are running out of power, we are running out of food. If we need to find more resources, we must get out of here and see what we can find in the rest of the ship.
I think Drom's coming to at this point and says, "The darkness invites. We must follow its trail if we are to escape."
Somni just like looks at Paul like, really? We're going into the maze with this guy? Like, come on now. I guess if there's no other way, is there let me see if I can get blueprints pulled up maybe.
Okay. So another attempt at a hunt roll. I'm sorry, I love looking
Let's
at
try
chat.
it. Yeah, I think I will kind of go over to where Paul was, like that console. She's still like covering her own ears, even though like she can clearly hear what's going on. Like kind of hunched in on herself. I think she's like fairly young and like even smaller than Quixote actually. Like she's a very tiny thing.
I
And
think
she kind of like. Mhm.
I think like when you got that burst from helping out, I think like you did hear the roar and it was like in your ears, but I think like you too also felt like you understood something but you didn't understand and in the moment. That may come back, just so you know. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe your ears are still ringing. I mean, who knows?
yeah, exactly. Like that's why she's covering them, right? Like
Yeah.
trying to make it go away a little bit.
Uh
And she'll
s-
like start tapping there. Like we see, like all these the green letters on the black background, like all of that. As she's trying to
skill.
pull up.
Yep, skill or
Um,
piece of equipment that you're using.
I would once again argue for tech.
Okay. So light die for asking about the world, and the light die for the tech skill. 2 on the hunt roll, please. My God.
You know
Um.
what? You know what? Just kill me.
Oh
Just do it,
dear.
man.
Snake
Oh my
eyes.
God.
Oh,
Just do it. Just kill me.
Holy cow.
when I was running, it could be worse because when I was running trophy the other night, I had a character roll Snake Eyes on a hunt roll after I'd been encouraging them to maybe do something with those 4 hunt tokens they'd already acquired. They lost 4. They lost 4 hunt tokens on that roll.
Oh my God. So anyway,
Oh,
for
no.
those watching, it's like excuse me, Somni got 2 1s.
And my last
Snake
roll
Eye.
was a 1 and a 2.
Oh my
So
God. Okay, so
Hey, look at it
I
this way. You're getting all the bad rolls out now.
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm keeping the plot moving.
Yeah. I think as you're touching this screen, I mean like, there is the emergency lights that are surrounding this particular console. They go out. They wink out as you finish like the last of your typing. And in the sudden plunge into darkness, I think you see coming out of the darkness itself, I think you see what looks like a cold blue hand. And like in within the hand are like veins of darkness. And then like a face comes out following the hand, and it looks like maybe someone that you saw before when you first came out of the cold sleep pods. But this person seems to have eyes, no sclera to be seen, but just white, with veins of the darkness in them as well. And they're opening up their mouths impossibly wide. And you hear not the roar, but you hear the word waiting. And you're in combat. Okay. So, anywho, it's reaching for you, and it's very close because it's coming out of the darkness at you. They seek out the uncorrupted for shadowy purposes, not entirely their own. Sure. All right, great. Okay.
I think Somni will try to run. If there is a way for her not to engage in combat, she's going to run and hide.
Okay. I think there is a risk here because it's like it is so close. Dom, just so you know, it's like Somni's in trouble again. Encountering another monster. Oh,
Rolled
boy.
another 2 1s on a hunt roll.
Snake Eyes on the hunt roll.
Snake Eyes on a hunt roll once
Get
again.
it! Oh god. Oh god. They can't
So
hunt for anything.
funny for me to like finally play a character who's scared of everything and get proven right with every single roll.
Holy crap. I'm in admiration, but I'm in awe as well. It just hurts.
Okay. Sorry, I had to step away for a few minutes. Can I just get a Cliff Notes version of what happened?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're not going to try to defeat the monster, but you're trying to get away. And I think that you run the risk of getting caught, by this creature. So I'm going to have you roll a risk roll to start. Excuse me. What could go wrong with this thing coming out at Somni? Definitely.
I'll pose one thing that could go wrong is this thing grabs her and doesn't let her go.
Yeah.
I think that mine is what could go wrong is that there's like a whole bunch of them, and they're drawn to us.
Yeah, because the darkness is so deep and permeating that like as soon as they can they will try and grab the living for sure, or like the like people not already of the dark.
I think that perhaps another good go of Dangi is in Somni trying to get away. she gets her foot stuck onto something.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so light die is something that you are skilled at because of your occupation or background, running away. Um,
Um, could I argue for improvisation? And I'm thinking like the way that I'm hiding is maybe, by um like shortcutting something else. So there's like a burst of static there, and like I'm going in a different direction, like I'm just like really quickly on my feet, like distracted run.
sure. Okay. And then, give me a second. All right. And then dark die, risking body for definite sure, if not mind, once they nab you, if they nab you. Um, and then a light die to accept a devil's bargain. So, what do we think will happen no matter what, regardless of roll?
I mean, an obvious one is no matter what, there's more of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think no matter what, the screen that Somni was trying to pull up blueprints on starts to flash alarming semi-legible symbols and ciphers.
Okay. I think. Ooh, I got one. I think no matter what, I think you will get the blueprint that you want on the screen, but then flashing on the screen right after will be a shot of one of the hallways, one of the tight, cramped hallways, and your sibling is staring out at you from that hallway. Yeah, that's my no matter what.
Yeah, I like Matt. Like I was thinking that perhaps Devil's bargain could be that Somni does end up getting the blueprints, but with the blueprint, she ends up getting a bit more than she wanted and ends up like getting maybe like some kind of virus as well.
Um, I'll take the blueprint about the shot of the sibling looking at the camera. That's very creepy. I love it.
Yep, yep. All right, so 2 light die, 1 dark, please.
This game wants me dead.
Oh my god. Well, okay, hold on. It's not higher than your ruin, so your ruin don't go up. All
No,
right, so you're fine.
but I also can't reroll, and it's a 3.
Also can't
so-
reroll.
I also can't reroll
So
my.
And it's a failure.
we
And
need
it's a
symmetry
failure.
here. I think we need
Right?
symmetry here. Drum's gonna try and help you this time.
Aw, it's really sweet.
Well, I mean, I'm also thinking like Dom's doing, like Drom's doing it for strictly like self-fulfilling purposes here too. So that works.
He probably wants to test if they can like sniff her out or something.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah, we know what the
fantastic.
result is. So let's see. You're going to roll 1 dark die to help,
One-
but tell me how
one
you're
light die.
One
vulnerable.
light.
One light die.
Mhm.
Okay, help roll. Am I on the right one?
Which
Hold on.
Drum's gonna try and help
Oh,
is by
yeah.
whispering in
1 light die.
Somni's ear. Don't listen to them. Don't listen. Don't listen to their blandishments. Only listen to your own darkness.
I like that. Okay, so yeah, 1 light die. How are you exposing your? Well, you're like you're in the way. I'm gonna just say like you
Yeah.
literally put yourself in the way.
I'm in it now, and
Oof.
I did the thing we said we shouldn't do before, and I also rolled a 3.
Oh
So,
my
Ooh.
so,
god!
You're
so the dice do hate us.
Holy shit. Okay, so yeah, you match, so your ruin goes up by 1. What the heck?
Incredible.
Mm.
We're gonna die. We're all gonna die in the first set.
Come on, guys. At least we can speed on
Off to
this.
Such a good start.
This is great. Oh my god. Oh dear. Wow. 3. I'm gonna say, you know what? You do succeed a bit, I think you will get the schematic. You do get the blueprints that you're looking for to be able to call up. And then maybe I'm even going to say it's like, and everybody can kind of take this as writ, because I always include this in my games. Maybe you also have a, like some kind of gauntlet, like, you know, the console that you can kind of like save any of these things that you find. And so you're able to capture the blueprints, but you do see that image of your sibling staring at you from one of these hallways, looking like no sound, but it looks like they're calling out to you for help. And so you do manage to move out of the way. Drom talks to you and then kind of convinces you out of it. But I want to know, and you both can tell me if it's something different or if you want to kind of get your heads together and think about this. You both heard the roar. You both heard the roar of this thing, of the dark. I want to know for each of you what it said. Now that you have a chance to kind of commiserate with each other and realize that the dark was talking to you. What did it say? Doesn't have to be the same thing, unless you want it to be.
I went to Drum, it just said, "Find me." And Drum sort of giggles in a like strange gurgling way and says, "Yes, yes, thank you."
Mm. And I think to Somni it said, do not trust the light.
Yeah. And I think as you get away and Drom, it almost like that thing that talked to Somni has turned its unseeing eyes at you and actually smiled before taking the swipe but missing, but then drawing back into the darkness and holding up 3 fingers before fading back into the darkness. And I think you're both sensing urgently, it's like, you gotta leave. You better get out of here. So, anybody else want to make a hunt roll?
I would, but I'll wait until someone else has had a go because I want to follow the scent trail of the darkness as it leaves us. But
Okay.
I'll.
I don't want to make a hunt roll, but one thing I wanted to do, which I couldn't because I had to do something quickly before we started the second. I think I'm not sure like how far away this took place from where we initially got the first conduit and how much time transpired. But I think perhaps like after Quixote and Paul vanquished the conduit, Quixote would turn to Paul and be like, so Paul, I thank it for assisting me in vanquishing this foul beast. And they look at Paul's like burnt arm and be like, a most valiant effort. I think for this, you've Tau has earned it at the end. Quixote will hand Paul one of the gold they found.
Well, I mean, like the power cell is the power cell is worth 2 gold. So
Yeah, It's a
Okay,
single
it's
it's a single it's a single item that's worth 2 gold. Generally in gold, keep things that you find, like things that are worth gold. Generally, you keep in the found equipment and mark it how much it is worth. Only add gold to your gold accumulation if you actually find coins. I don't know how that's going to
okay.
translate. I don't know how that's going to translate in this. I'm guessing there's not like, credit sticks or anything like that, but
Okay.
Not that I saw. So yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't like necessarily translate exactly so. So
Okay. Okay, my mistake.
cryptocurrency, oh God.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Apologies, my mistake. I thought I found like 2 gold in addition to the powers. I didn't
Oh
think the
no, no,
powers
no.
was.
nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just okay. In that case, just forgot what is it.
Yeah.
But Quixote will just comment Paul for his assistance.
Oh, I will clarify though, like, when the roll says that you find a token, those tokens can be translated into something that you find to eventually trade in for gold. So yeah, the trick is for trophy gold, you want to make sure you don't have too many hunt tokens that could possibly be lost because of a mechanical roll that'll screw you over. So sometimes it's like, and you can ask me to trade in the tokens at any time, but I know that some people like to kind of hoard them to see if they can get to the let's not deal with this set, let's just go ahead and resolve it, with the 3
Yep.
tokens. So yeah.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
another
Yeah,
reason
that's
why you hold out. I get it. But just don't hold out too long. Okay. So,
I would like to do another hunt roll eventually, but I want other people to have a chance to do that first because I've already made one.
I would just want to quickly, I want to restate what the darkness said. I have something better.
okay.
I think it said reunion, rebirth, remake, and those 3 words over and over again.
Love it. Yeah.
That's so creepy. I love it.
I love creepy. Oh my God. Yes. All right. Um, so, yes. Hunt roll, anyone?
So I think at this point, since we have a direction to go down, I think Paul's going to um, you know Paul's going to suggest we go in this direction, picking this corridor.
Yep.
Also looking at his like whatever comm unit we're using that we store this information. He'll look at his looking at his I don't know, Dick Tracy two-way wrist TV or something like that.
It looks like a
Um,
calculator strapped to your wrist. Sorry, I saw back behind the scenes on Total Recall the other day. So, anyway, it looks like a calculator strapped to your wrist
love
with a
it,
little monitor screen. Yeah.
love it. So he's looking at that, and yeah, he's gonna head on down this corridor, and he's going to I think he'll take point on this, and he's basically like slowly moving ahead, like trying to figure out like into the darkness, and I'm thinking we probably have like some kind of like feeble flashlights, but nothing that really goes too far. It's like only it almost only makes the darkness creepier because we can't really penetrate it with our handlights.
Yeah.
But he's doing that, and he's trying to figure out if there are he's trying to figure he's trying to like plot ahead, and um he's going to try to anticipate any dangers that might be ahead by I've got a piece of equipment that would help me here. I have a handheld echolocator.
Ah.
So
Okay.
I am going to use that to try to probe ahead to make sure that to try to probe ahead to see what we may or may not be encountering on our way down to the end of this corridor.
Okay.
Can I make a hunt with two? Can I make a hunt with 2 dice on that?
Yes.
I encounter something terrible.
What? Wow, this game is really trying to kill you all. I swear.
This is absolutely cursed. Yeah.
Oh
I
my.
think I'm the only one that has done a successful hunt roll yet.
But now
You
you've
say
rolled
that.
something terrible.
But now I fail. But now I joined the fail club.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Wow. Huh.
You see, this is the strategy. If you never do a hunt roll, you'll never fail.
You just cower in the corner and crouch up, and then you'll never have to go wrong in Trophy Gold.
Somni has literally done nothing but cower, and somehow,
Yeah, so that disproves that theory.
yes, there's nothing you can do.
Oh
You can
my
only
God.
die.
You see,
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Welcome to Trophy Gold.
Welcome to Trophy Gold. Okay, so yeah, go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah.
Quixote.
that's the issue. The other characters just think too much about the situation. They should be just like Quixote, just empty head, no think, just move ahead.
Okay, so well, all right. So here's the thing: what Somni and Drom had seen in the one corner. It's like now there's the lights that are around have flickered out by you two. And so out of this pool, so instead of coming from like in front of you, now you see it rising from the floor and you see a different figure coming out of it, reaching out with its blue, black veined arms and fingers. And it looks like somebody that you might have seen vaguely here at the Cold Sleep Warrens before, but then now their face is black veined, and their eyes are gone, and they also open up their mouths to say, "Waiting," and reaches out for you. Pull. And Quixote,
Okay.
if you want to get in on this, if you want to do combat, you can. I mean, obviously Quixote's like, on the way ahead.
I think what I think what Paul does in that situation is he draws his pistol and also clicks the activation button on his electrostatic shield. So I think I'm going to enter combat with this guy.
All right. So
Is anyone joining me?
Quixote, Quixote is gonna join.
okay. Alrighty.
Somni
So
will immediately open a maintenance panel and like hide in it. But I think they will try to like access from there the lights to kind of flood the hallway and maybe lower the the
endurance.
the endurance. I don't know if I don't know if that's like a thing you can only do with a ritual, but I have a solution if that's the thing.
Oh, you can make a risk. You can do other risk. You can do other things that are appropriate by doing a risk roll. To do that sort of thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be use a ritual.
No,
Or
it just
and
has to be
or also
risky.
and the other thing is the other thing you can do is if you've got like a ranged weapon, you can attempt to like provide suppressing fire to attempt to lower its endurance.
Yeah, I think she'll like try to flood the hallways with light because they don't seem to like it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's probably a bit far away, so they like maybe get there in time. So they're just going to grab something nearby, hopefully something that's heavy, and just like chuck it at the creature to like just like maybe like stun it like for just a second to give Paul just a bit more time to like aim the shot.
Okay. So directly involved in combat would be Quixote and Pole. And if you're trying to help from your vantage point, Somni, I'm going to say that this would start with your risk roll first, just to see if you can lower the endurance of the thing, for sure. So go ahead and let's build your risk roll first. What could go wrong? I'm automatically going to say that, like, when in your fright, I think maybe you screw up the finagling on the panel, and you plunge more areas of the cold sleep in darkness. That could go wrong. So,
Got it. Another thing would be like pull something from like Star Trek and other sci-fi tropes is the panel that you're asking that you're accessing overloads and kind of like blows up in your face
Yeah,
because like
perhaps
because clearly in the far future they've lost that technology called fuses.
perhaps that goes for rank, and I'm gonna play off the isolation regarding the interesting. Perhaps as you're fiddling with the control panel, instead of turning on the lights, you manage to accidentally like shut the doors. So now you're locked in with this creature.
I think my one is to go even harder on Mads's one and say like everything for the entire duration of the combat is plunged into 100% darkness, and then some bit things come up back on afterwards.
why am I seeing now Train to Busan in my head? Oh my god. Anyway, light die if the task is something you are skilled at because of your occupation or background.
Tag or improvisation again, I think.
Perfect. All right, so that's one light die. Dark die, risking your body because like hopefully you're able to do this without something else coming at you. Um, and yeah, so one light die, one dark die, and another light die if anybody's got any devil's bargain that they want to offer. Excuse me. Devil's
No
bargain.
matter what, Somni gets you said you like went into like one of the access corridors.
Hmm.
No matter what, you're stuck in the access corridor. You could conceivably continue with us, but no matter what, you're trapped in the access corridors for the time being.
No matter what, someone else tried to hide in the access corridor and they're still there.
Any others?
Yeah, you see, you see down the access corridor. You see your sister beckoning to you.
No, these are
Sister?
all so good.
Wait, sister. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
sister.
should. Okay, sorry.
Sister,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh God, these are all very good. Um, I like the idea of someone else being there. Cause like, why weren't they with the group?
Mm.
Like that I think that has really creepy implications. So yeah, I think no matter what, someone else will be there as well.
Okay, so two light die, one dark. Oh boy. Or
Okay.
risk.
The worst is there's a part of me that really wants to reroll.
I
Let's
mean,
do
you
it.
can't. Why not? Why
Let's do
not?
it. Let's just die. It's okay.
I mean, that's a
It's like
success, but what's the success, but what's the complication?
Yeah, maybe I should wait for that. What's the complication?
Oh man.
And I'll just toss this out there. The way that the complication is phrased is a little different than both Empowered by the Apocalypse and Forged in the Dark.
Uh-huh.
So it just reads a little differently. So um, that one often trips me up in Trophy Gold or
Mm.
and Trophy Dark as well.
So succeeding with a complication. Hmm.
Like the GM describes the complication, then you describe how you succeed, or vice versa.
Oh. Okay.
That's how the rule works. So it's a little different than a mixed success in either Forged or Powered by the Apocalypse.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Alrighty. Hmm.
So
Ah.
there's a complication. So basically, you establish in the narrative one of you establishes in the narrative a complication, and the other describes how you get past it. And that's
Well, I'm
just
gonna I'm gonna have you describe your success, unless you have a really
Mhm.
juicy complication you'd like to throw in here, Jazzy. So
I kind of like the like stuck in the vents with this other person. So I think like as I'm like trying to and like the system starts overloading, right? It starts
Mm-hmm.
doing the vrrr,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I think again like her own hands are around her ears. Like she's not even looking at the panel, but somehow those mechanical arms are just like perfectly like scanning. There's a wrench that's on it. There's like all these things happening. They're moving so fast, like almost like they have a mind of their own. And as it like the hum starts building and building and building, and the lights start to flicker even more, like they're going to completely fall out. And I think there's like a second where everything goes dark, and then everything floods with a blinding light. But doing so, redirecting all that power, there's like a click to her side
Yeah.
where this maintenance panel with so much power rerouted has like locked itself.
Right. And I think you see somebody here with you. The complication is that, well, I don't know if you want to call it a complication or be like it's just a kind of like a extension of the devil's bargain. But I think that as you're overloading the system, you're trying to get it to work so this way it floods light to reduce that thing's endurance. I think you don't see the light turning on and strengthening from the power overload. First, you start to see it in your mechanical arms. Because on your mechanical arms, you see inscriptions, symbols, that you may or may not remember seeing Drom writing or seeing or reading in his or in their book. The light starts there and then goes into the system and floods. And it fills your vision with a complete, like, almost searing light. And as it goes down and back into darkness, you see somebody next to you before it plunges into darkness, and you hear the click of the door lock.
I think pull in all the others hear another scream like muffled by the metal of the ship. And I think it could be interesting to kind of like have that scream and cut to the combat where they just
Yep.
heard that, but there's nothing they can do.
Right. But I mean, like, you did succeed because the light flooded the chamber. So I think everybody sort of sees like these things, and as they're like wailing, they are almost like screaming in pain. Like you can start to see like smoking a little bit on their skin as they're affected by the light, and then it gets plunged into darkness. But they're weakened. You can hear moans now instead of screams. So
And now that's in the light, how many do we see?
you see two of them because one had actually come up behind the other one. Um, but they're again they're injured in their heart. They're harmed in their own way. So therefore, you can totally we can call their, let's see, the four.
So that basically means, so I mean, what it was trying to do was lower their endurance. So and it does sound like their endurance is lowered by one. So cool.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm engaging
going
combat.
that.
So I pull my gun and I start shooting at them.
Okay. Fabulous.
Anyone else joining the combat?
I think
Oh, that's right. Quixote, I think, said that he
Quixote
was.
said that they were. Yes, absolutely. So let me go ahead and get back to the thing.
What was Drom?
Right.
What was Drom doing out of curiosity? I didn't quite get that.
As a kind of follow up from the ruin increase, Drom is off trying to find the thing that said to find him. So yeah, he's gone off road basically.
Okay. Cool.
It's the
So
first session.
sounds like there's two combatants. So so Quixote led this one. I'm going to lead this one if that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I was
So,
actually I was
Oh yeah, we
thinking,
gotta. Oh yeah, we got to roll weak point first.
Roll weak point first, please.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to say that I initially thought that since we were going to
We're both on 3 again. We're both on the same number again.
God.
completely,
Oh my
completely in
God.
sync.
You guys
So-
are killing me.
So I was initially thinking that because we only someone else thinking that Quixote would just throw something at the one you were attacking. But since there's two now, should we split up and each take one, or should we just like
Oh,
focus on?
you're just gonna
We're-
keep this contained, like, as one.
Yeah. This is. I mean, this is a roll that encompasses the whole the whole round of combat. So
Yeah.
once we roll, then we narrate what that look. Once we roll it, then we narrate what it looks like.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now, Paul, you're going to take a dark die for each character involved, so that's 2.
Yep. So I'm rolling. I'm rolling a.
2 dark
I'm rolling
die.
2 dark dice in a combat roll.
Mhm.
Oh my God!
Oh my God, what is going on? What the hell is going on? So yes,
So,
it is
it
defeated.
wins.
It is defeated. It is defeated.
You know what? I'm going to.
But-
So that means we will, if we don't mark armor, we are each going to take 2 ruin from this combat.
Yeah, I'm marking armor.
Okay.
I am also marking armor.
So for the recording, their weak point was 3, and Paul just rolled 2 3s.
3s. Yeah, each of us rolled 3 as our weak point, and I rolled 3, and I rolled 2 dark, and they each came up with a 3 on the combat roll. So, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody want to like go on the roller Discord or the go complain to GT Manfred, I think, who made this, and say what the hell's going on?
I gotta say, I'm like I mentioned, that I'm running Trophy Dark with a different group on, and they have had the most and we're using the same die roller. They have had the most incredible, amazing luck most of the time.
I can't wait to see what happens with my evening group for this, because
they, like the last, they went up against us. They went up, like, they defeated, like in Hester's Mill, they defeated on the first round of combat. They defeated like Malfast the Demon on like the first round of combat, and no one took any ruin.
Okay.
which had a 12 which had a 12 endurance, and they took it out 1 round,
God.
no problem.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so match Treasure Hunter's weak point. Hell yeah. 1 ruin per die that matches your Treasure Hunter's weak point, or mark a piece of armor to avoid all ruins. So, please tell me you've marked some armor.
I'm marking armor. So I think what happens is, so Paul, like, and I did mention that, like, when this once we realized we were entering combat, Paul hits the button on his electrostatic defense grid, and this kind of like pale orange glow surrounds him, and he pulls his gun, and he's like shooting a bunch of times, because these things take a lot of hits before they go down. And I think the 2 of them, I think one of them like basically lunges at Paul and like knocks him back.
But I think Quixote like steps in for that one to help you out, I would imagine.
I was thinking it might go with that we initially saw a divan, and perhaps as the light turned off at the end, and the second one, like maybe just like skirted around the corner. I was thinking that in preparation to fight the single one we initially saw, Quixote in the pad area, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, I think Quixote would like look at one of the parts, like grab probably one, like the lid of it, and just kind of like rip it off its hinges, and initially like actually to throw it at the one, but as the second one like just skirted like from the shadows as the light turned on, Quixote like threw the lid, like poured the lid at that one, and I wanted to see like cutting it in half with that, but not before the second one just like maybe like itself like just like threw an attack at Quixote that like just hit and smashed Quixote's armor as they just fell back.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah, so I think so I think the one that like like lunged at Paul and knocked him back. Paul's able to like basically get its gun against its head and pulls the trigger, and
Yeah.
boom, there's
Boom.
boom, there's back splatter, but the creature was able to, like, part of the creature's arm was able to like get through to that control belt and shorts it out. So
Yeah.
his defense grid is now down until Paul has a chance to try to repair it.
Okay. So go ahead and in this aftermath of the melee, combat, can you please roll Pole a gold? Final endurance of the defeated monster. So that was 5. Yeah.
No gold.
God. Insult to injury.
No gold.
Jeez. Crap a doodle do.
Wow.
Alrighty.
The dice clearly hate us.
Oh my god. I'm scared to see what's gonna happen for my nighttime group, honestly.
Dice
Ugh.
clearly hate us. And like I said, I'm using the same dice roller for my evening trophy gold group, and they have been utterly lucking out. I've seen so many sixes, but not on dark dice.
But hey, I've seen some amazing rolls, even from me, on this dice roller. So I mean, it just does not. It I don't know.
It is truly
depends.
random, and it's
Truly
just
random. I love it, but I'm also hating it for you guys. So anyway, holy shit. Okay.
Look at the silver line. This is going to be a great underdog story.
Oh my god.
So
So anyway,
I did have a question. Was this a 3-hour session or a 4-hour session?
no, 3. It was 3. So I mean, like I was gonna wrap up after this combat. I wasn't expecting to go back into combat. Oh my god, how many combats have we had? Holy crap.
2 so far.
Holy cow. Yeah, I love it too for you guys. All right.
And we haven't left the first set yet, and we can't.
No.
And we've only found 1 hunt token. We can't even We can't even solve it yet.
Can I finish with a hunt roll before we
Absolutely.
close out?
We can also make it the cliffhanger depending on what happens.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It would if we could just like leave it unresolved.
Sure.
Basically.
Yes, please.
Basically, it's just a follow up for the fact that Drom's following the voice that said "find me," and he has like darkness as one of his skills. So it's just like following the voice of the darkness essentially.
Okay.
So I'd just do like a 2 dice hunt roll, I think.
Sure.
Let's. Okay. Are we going to end on a positive note? Oh, I got a 4. Finally, something.
That's good.
I got a thing.
You get a token. Okay. But encounter something terrible. All right. So for next time. I'm not even gonna. Oh my god, something terrible.
It doesn't have to be that terrible because it's a 4, but
yeah, four's pretty good. Oh my god.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dump, dump, dump. For next time, I'm gonna write this down. Wow. So, I'm gonna say that as you're wandering down in the dark, Drom, the camera is on you. Like kind of like searching out, like back and forth down this particular corridor, and perhaps like like leading past certain like sleep pods that were damaged or what have you. And I think as the camera is looking at your face, I think we start to hear weird hissing, sparking, crackles, and then it seems to be like some kind of light pattern starting to play upon your face. And maybe your eyes widen behind those goggles of yours. And that's what we end on for today's session. Oh boy. So, God. Stars and wishes. Stars are things that you enjoy about today's game. Each other, role play. the circumstances, and then wishes are what you'd like to see for next time. Or the future,
Yeah.
like for the rest of however long you survive.
I can go. I mean, stars to the dice roller. It really said we're gonna set a tone for this game. That is so horrifying. And I kind of appreciate it. This really feels like one of those prestige shows that just said like this series is gonna be fucked up from like episode one. Like we don't even get the setup of the characters and
No.
like cute role play moments. No, it's horrifying from the start, and I kind of love that. Um, Other than that, yeah, I think even though like it was so action packed and we had like a little time to get to some role playing, I think everyone did really well establishing their characters in that short time and like through the actions that everyone was taking, which I think is a really cool skill when players have it. Mike, I loved how Paul comes across like so like in control, but there is like that little bit of unnerving, like he's almost too calm, like why are you not freaked out more about this? I love like just like call me like, yeah, I'm gonna look up where the hallway is going, like how we're gonna get out on this, like so on task. Um, that was really fun. That was cool to see. For Dom, I loved how freaking unhinged Quixote is. I love how they're just no thoughts, only stab, which is incredible. I love it. I love to see it. For James, absolutely love how deeply terrifying Drom is. Like, what the hell? Like just the yes, 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 follow the darkness. It's so good. I love that he thought that would help Somni rather than just like make her run faster. That was really fun. For Mads, yeah, I think you did really well. Like handling a lot of mechanics, a lot came up. I think you're doing really well. Also, like throwing different things at us. Like the dangers were different and they followed like logically, in a sense, which is really fun to see. Wishes, yeah, I can't see where this goes if we're even gonna get out of this bay. I love the things that we've already established, like the creepy people here. Like are they survivors that went into the dark? Are they the things that are changing us in the dark? I also would really love to follow up on both the sister hook and I think, like the darkness speaking to us and what it was saying to Somni. I think there's a lot of vagueness and a lot of potential in those three words that it was whispering to her. So really interested to see like how that's gonna change them. And of course, who the hell is this person in there with her? Why are they not changed? What is happening to them? So very interested to see if next session is gonna be as rough or if we're gonna get something done.
I'm happy to go next. Stars all around. This is super fun. All these characters are really compelling and really kind of creepy, which befits the setting. Um, Jazy, seeing you playing a character that's like running away from everything constantly, that's so cool. I'm really curious as to, and I've just got like a great visual between how you've described her, the art you found for her, and I've just got a great visual image. I don't know, like at least in my head canon. I'm going to say this out loud because I only mentioned it in the chat, but I'm imagining that Somni looks somewhere between a cross between Doctor Octopus from Spider-Man and Trapta from like She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. But yeah, I just love that. James, Drom is so freaking creepy. I love it. I thought I was gonna be the creepy one, but nope. um, and yeah, just those moments of like I am becoming one with the darkness. That was just like, oh my god, I'm helping this. Like, is this guy actually a friend or like what? Yeah, I'm really curious to see where this character goes, and more, like more interaction with the rest of the group. And Dom, yeah, same. I'm really curious as to like, like learning more about learning more about Quixote. And how like what he's doing, what his motivations are. And yeah, just the way you were interacting with things was just, again, like really heightening the creepiness. And Mads, like, yeah, big star to you as well for like, hurting these cats and making like bringing in a whole lot of logical consequences to the to the horrifying drama generator that has been the dice roller. Because the dice hate us. As for wishes, yeah, I'm really looking forward to see like where this goes, and also to find out if this was like the first 15 minutes, if the stories of these characters is kind of like the first 15 minutes of the movie The Suicide Squad, where like all of the cast that got introduced like get like all but one get killed in the first 15 minutes of the show, and like, oh yeah, all these characters we introduced, yeah, they're all, yeah, none of them are important. These are the real cast. This is the real cast.
I guess I can go next.
Yeah, go
If-
ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so to echo a lot of what Jazy and Mike said, I like enjoyed all the characters and just how they came up in this short amount of time we actually did have. Like, we just roleplay amongst each other until just the chaos kicked in and just never stepped off the gas pedal. I'm really like looking forward to seeing like the like hooks, story hooks of like Somni and her sister, but Drom's deal is how Paul is going to just more than likely just be like this straight man, I feel, to a just chaotic group from the looks of it. And I did like yesterday, like I was just making my character and I was like thinking like, okay, this is kind of the type of character I want, and I saw what James and Jazy made, and like without even thinking like what who Mike might make, I was like, they're probably going to be the chaos group between the two groups. So I'm just like looking forward to seeing like how that changes past. Like I just said, I start you much for running this game, and like I built that out, like all the encounters and the trouble that we immediately got ourselves into action spot. As for wishes, I'm wishing like to just see how this turns out, and will we even manage like to get to the next corridor by the end of session 5?
I think a big stuff for me is, I mean, like, I agree, everyone's got this unique flavor of like creepy or like strange, and it's an environment that brings out the strangeness. So I really, my wish is I just want to see more of everyone's characters and where they're going. But I think a star to you, Mads, for picking an incursion that really matches your GMing style as well. Like, it's a trophy gold game incursion that you can play like it's trophy dark with the trophy gold rules. So it really had this great sort of hybrid vibe that really suited your style, but also everyone else, rolled with it as well, and the setting really lent itself. I like your penchant for sci-fi trophies, so more of that was a big star as well. And yeah, the dice, like, I think it was like great that the dice roller was so cruel to us, because it created so much narrative sort of impetus. And yeah, sure, we might all like end up ruined, but like we got a lot done in a short amount of time, and it felt very like that, like it just felt very sort of rich, compacted, and it was great that we got to see all the different roles, the complexities of Trophy Gold all in one session. And yeah, my wish is just I want to see more of the ship, and I want to see where we go, and I want to see if we can solve this set without accruing any more ruin, because it's a bit tenuous now. But I just loved how everyone had this really strong visual sort of brand to the character, like we were talking about, Somni's kind of like crouched with the big arms, and just the kind of stiffness of Paul, and Quixote's kind of, yeah, like sort of slightly unmoored, like, thought, yeah, I just really felt strong, and I enjoyed it very much.
These characters were so strong. I mean, like, yeah, I got a visual from like all the images that you guys posted, and then of course, like, you're narrating. But I mean, this group is very strong in the narrations. I mean, like, regardless of like the time that you had to role play with like these little tiny moments, I mean, like, we got the role play because of all the narrating of like how they're reacting to what the circumstances surrounding them all, especially in this very strange, very dark, very warped ship. And I love it. You guys just leaned in and leaned in hard. And the dice were pretty much aiding and abetting you, fortunately and unfortunately. So, yeah, Drom and Pole are perilously close. Oh my god. Wow. Not even out of the first set, and like, there we go. No, I'm sorry. Like, I keep on reading burdens as the ruin, and that's not correct. So I apologize. No, nobody's that close yet, so we're good. But still, yeah, wow. That's all I gotta say. And yeah, wishes. I want to see what develops from the cliffhangers. For one, Somni's in a corridor with somebody. We're not sure who yet. And then Paul, excuse me, Drom. Drom is encountering something terrible. Yet another thing terrible. Oh my god. And thank you, Star, to James and Mike, for helping me out with for my second time trying to run gold. It's like, just refreshing my memory on like how this is different, and like, how to like efficiently run it, especially because the combat role always seemed to be the one that like really like messed me up, because I'm like, I don't know how I can run that. And then like just telling me the order of operations, like the protocol, that helps a lot. And thanks to M and Daniel Hosterman for creating this wonderful reference guide, like, a simple one sheet to be able to help build out the roles. I mean, it is very, very helpful. So thank you both. And yeah, I mean, like, I want to see these characters get into further chaos, hopefully come out of the first set alive, without creating new characters. And then yeah, see where you go from here. So this was a great session. Thank you guys very much. I can't wait to see what happens to the night group when they run into this. Oh my. Sure. If there's nothing else, it's like I will post this session. I will post it in our Discord chat so you can get a look at it and remember what you said from this time. And I will see you next week. Oh my gosh. Have a wonderful week, guys. Happy gaming. All right.
You
Bye,
have
everyone.
yourselves.
playing at
Bye.
night.
Bye.
This was a blast.